Hey, today's topic will be planetary hours. Planetary hours is a term seen in dials and related instruments of the 16th century mostly, but also earlier, particularly on portable dials. And one of the main reasons why ancient dialists may have been interested in planetary hours is because of their astrological influence. The hours of the day were said to be ruled by the 7 planets, and the days of the week have names derived from the ruling planet of the first hour. The 7 planets, according to a Chaldean order that arranges them from slowest to fastest in motion, are said to rule the hours of the day in the repeated sequence. Now, the signification of planetary hours is ancient, but is considered to be of great use in everyday life, though these hours are not of that efficacy or influence as the calculations of the movements of the heavenly bodies. It seemed that fortunate people, so to say, when they intend to undertake any particular business or make any special changes in their lives, choose fortunate hours or lucky times for that purpose. And these can be for going on a trip, for moving or starting a new business, performing surgical operations, getting married, and so on. On the other hand, unlucky individuals not knowing these fortunate hours and having no intuition or knowledge to guide them choose unfortunate hours to commence any new undertaking, and although they may have short periods of good fortune, not knowing when these fortunate hours occur, they do not succeed in the long run. In ancient times, it was customary to ascertain the good and evil times by calculating the movements of the heavenly bodies, mostly planets, and all important business was commenced under fortunate planetary influence and in fortunate hours. In this way, for example, choosing fortunate times for building large constructions may have had something to do with the duration of these ancient structures, like pyramids in Egypt, the ruins in Babylon, and many temples of Greece and Rome. Now, astrology is tricky, and every astrologer is different. Some astrologers do not believe in high potency or energy of astrology, or in anything they cannot calculate and get a positive and almost tangible proof. Others don't take into account outer planets or part of fortune, lunar nodes. Some deny the unique influences of each of the 12 houses and will only take into account the angles or the points of the heavens of the rising, setting, and the culminating of the sun, moon, the planets, midheaven, and nadir. Then there are those who think that whatever occurs in the heavens, whatever positions the various heavenly bodies assume in the sky, have a corresponding effect on the earth. Now, whomever you may encounter, and no matter the opinions, when it comes to astrology, there is nothing to believe in or not to believe in. It is not a religion, it just is. The hours of the day are ruled by the planets. There are 24 planetary hours in each day. The time from sunrise to sunset is divided by 12, which gives the time of the day planetary hours. The planetary hours at night are from sunset to sunrise, and this time, also divided by 12, gives the length of the night planetary hours. The planets rule hours from sunrise to sunset. On Sunday, the first hour after sunrise is ruled by the sun, the second planetary hour by Venus, the third by Mercury, the fourth hour by the Moon, the fifth hour by Saturn, the sixth hour by Jupiter, the seventh hour by Mars, the eighth hour by the Sun again, and so it continues through this order for the next 24 hours. The first planetary hour of each day at sunrise is ruled by the planet which rules that specific day. So Sunday is ruled by the Sun, so the first hour at sunrise is ruled by the Sun. The Moon, ruling Monday, rules the first planetary hour after sunrise. Tuesday is ruled by Mars, and Mars rules the first hour after sunrise. Mercury, the first hour after sunrise on Wednesday. Jupiter, the first hour after sunrise on Thursday. Venus, the first hour on Friday. And Saturn, the first hour after sunrise on Saturday. The planetary hours of each day of the week follow the same order of the planets as are given for Sunday, which I mentioned earlier. The planetary hour is not just the ordinary 60 minutes of the clock time, but like I said previously, the period of sunrise to sunset divided into 12 equal parts, each being a planetary hour of that day. Now, the planetary hours are longer in the daytime in the summer as the days are longer and shorter at night with the shorter nights. In the wintertime, the night planetary hours are longer due to the longer nights, and there is longer time between sunset and sunrise, and daytime planetary hours are shorter. The order of the days and their arrangement into 7 or 1/4 of the moon or the fourth of the month harmonizes with the laws of nature, and was or is accepted by, I believe, almost everyone in the world. Now, the happenings of each hour are said to be of the nature of the planet ruling that hour. Thus, Saturn will bring delays, some troubles. It was also known as the hour of death. To become sick in the hour of Saturn would prolong the disease. Now, the Mars hour brings accidents, quarrels, but also power. Because planets move, the motion of them tends to modifications in health, state of mind, and luck. The planets have various effects in their vibrations over the mind and organism, and these can be seen in the planetary hours too. So the planets in their planetary hours do not act on every person in the same way. The positions, strength, and aspects of the planets in an individual's natal chart should be observed and taken into account. For example, if one has Jupiter in any house of the natal chart, but that Jupiter is heavily afflicted, this individual would hardly get any luck in the hour of Jupiter. Important planetary hours to be considered in connection with health would be those of Saturn and Mars, as these hours were not considered good for surgeries. The Jupiter and Venus hours, though benefics, tend to bring moderation in sickness, but overall happier conditions. It was considered that in the hour of Saturn, one should not take any voyages or trips by land or sea. Minor or moderate success can be expected in any business. No medicine should be given or taken, as it will produce more harm than good. It is not good for trying out new clothing or to cut one's hair. But this hour was considered good for purchases of houses and lands, for business endeavors, for buying groceries, for planting or digging earth for various reasons. Now, this is not a good hour to borrow or lend money, to take any loans from the bank. It is not a good hour to fall sick in, as it indicates a long disease or an unfortunate ending. But of course, this is not something one can have much control over. In the hour of Jupiter, it is good to talk to priests or people in offices like lawyers, judges, or senators, and to obtain their favor. In this hour, it is good to go out of the house to start a journey, as it might end with success. It is also good for sowing seeds, taking loans from the bank. It is good for marriage or relationships. It is not good to enter a ship in this hour or to buy domestic animals. In the hour of Mars, it is not good to begin any worthy action, any undertaking or great enterprise. This hour should be avoided for any new beginnings. It is also not good to take journeys by land or sea, as it was thought it will make one seasick. It is also not good for surgical operations. So this is not a good hour for basically anything, and it should be avoided as much as possible. However, it can be good in sports or in exercise, and it can bring good ambitious energy. I must say here, if you want to feel bad about yourself or anything, just go study ancient astrology. They had a knack for making one feel, well, not very good. The hour of the sun is not to be chosen, as it was considered to be generally fortunate, but it was not good for asking favors of well-established, influential, or wealthy individuals. Not good for starting a construction of a building, for example. Not good for putting on new clothes to enter or move into a new house, a new home. Not good for making advances, especially towards women, as they will try to control one. It was also not good for paying anything with money, not good for lending money, and it was considered to be a very critical hour to become sick, as the sickness might become dangerous and violent. So much for being generally fortunate. However, it was considered to be good for improving social status, for public speaking, and employment. In the hour of Venus, it is good to court women, to take short journeys. It is good for sports, good to go for visits, but not too long. Good to enter your new home. This hour is generally good to undertake any business and for improving physical appearance, but it is not good to sew clothes or for embroidering. It is especially good hour for both genders to have any dealings with women. The hour of Mercury was considered to be very good for any sort of merchandise, to buy or sell, to write letters, to send messages, to take medicine, to go to school, to start studying something, to send children to school, to start a journey, to lend or borrow money, to start construction of any building. But it was not good for proposals or marriage, to buy a house or apartment, so a new home, and it is also not a good hour to re-enter your own home after a journey, as it will cause or there will be fights. It was a good hour to plant or graft and to ask money from prominent people. The hour of the moon was not considered to be a good hour to buy domestic animals, especially the smaller kinds. Not good to take medicine, to start any construction, to lend money, but it was good to go against the enemy or to begin a lawsuit. And if one were to decide to leave native country in the hour of the moon, choosing the hour of Venus for return was considered fortunate. This hour was also good for all domestic activities. Planetary hours have been somewhat neglected by modern astrologers, mostly because of the difficulty in calculating these hours, especially in places where days are very long in the summer months and where days are very short in the winter months. But I do think there are printable tables of planetary hours online for free if anyone is interested. So let's say one is born in the hour of Mercury on the day of Mercury, so Wednesday. This would indicate abstract thinking, mental alertness, fulfilling wishes, being good with words, signing papers, sending mail, fixing computer problems, software mostly. Any activity related to communication, provided of course one is in the frame to be rational and logical, as Mercury is a trickster, especially when one is emotionally upset or is lacking in focus and mental clarity. But these people are good in almost everything they decide to do, so it indicates overall happiness. But no work should be done on Sundays. If one is born on the day of Mercury but in the hour of Mars, this will indicate one requires muscular exercise, is bold, courageous and active, but feelings should be in check or under control. Caution is needed when one is angry or stressed, especially in close relationships, as Mars can be very confrontational and in this case is combined with a trickster planet, Mercury. Born on the day of the moon in the hour of Jupiter is good for success in just about any activity one chooses and for beginning anything important. It is good for thinking and for dealings with siblings. The only downside would be a tendency to exaggerate or be extreme and disproportionate. Born on the day of Mars in the hour of Venus would indicate successful career or at least great effort, social occasions, possible problems in marriage or in relationships with opposite gender, and achieving calm after stress. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, German polymath, a poet, may have been classified as the high-potency astrologer as he wrote something in his autobiography about his birth, and I will read it to you. My horoscope was propitious. The sun was in the sign of Virgin and had culminated for the day. Jupiter and Venus looked on him with a friendly eye, and Mercury not adversely, while Saturn and Mars kept themselves indifferent. The moon alone just felt exerted the power of her reflection all the more as she had just reached her planetary hour. And this is it for today. Let me know what you think about planetary hours. Do they make sense to you? I actually use them a lot and find them to work well most of the time when all of my calculations are done right. So thank you for watching. See you next week. Bye.